India is the world's fastest-growing large economy and home to more billionaires than ever. But zoom out, and another India appears, where the median adult owns a few $1,000s in wealth, and the top 1% own nearly 2/5 of everything. Today on History of Now, India's wealth gap versus the world, who's winning, who's losing, and how money bends politics, from Mumbai to Washington to Beijing. Quick primer. Income inequality is the flow, what you earn each year. Wealth inequality is the stock, what you own minus what you owe. Wealth inequality is usually far more extreme. Best global source: the World Inequality Database, compiled by researchers like Thomas Piketty, Lucas Chancel, and others, and republished by Our World in Data. We'll use that, plus UBS's Global Wealth Report for median/mean wealth. By 2022 to 2023, India's top 1% took 22.6% of total income and held approximately 40% of all wealth, both at historic highs in modern data. Median wealth per adult in India? Just a few $1,000s, under $5,000, placing India's median far below rich countries and also below China. So you can have a skyline full of super talls and still have a median family with almost nothing. That's not uniquely Indian. It's how wealth concentrates everywhere. But India's concentration at the very top is now among the world's highest. Compare the top 1% wealth share. India, approximately 40%. United States, around 31 to 35%, depending on method and year. China, roughly 31%. UK and France, closer to the low 20s. Same story with billionaires. India ranks number 3 globally by count, behind the US and China, on the latest Hurun and Forbes tallies. Names you know: Mukesh Ambani, Gautam Adani, Savitri Jindal, Sunil Mittal, Shiv Nadar. But here's the contrast that stings. India's billionaire boom is happening while the median household's wealth remains low. That mismatch, the lopsided ladder, is why India's disparity often feels harsher than in older rich democracies. A 30-second history. Colonial extraction left India poor. A post-independent state-led model raised basics but grew slowly. 1991 reforms opened markets and unleashed private wealth. Since the 2000s, top-end wealth has surged much faster than the middle. The World Inequality Lab calls it a new billionaire Raj, with top-end shares now above even the British-era benchmarks for concentration. In February 2024, India's Supreme Court struck down the electoral bond scheme, anonymous, unlimited political donations, saying secrecy violated voters' right to information. The court ordered the State Bank of India to disclose donor and redemption data. Once released, the data showed who paid and who received. Major purchasers included Future Gaming and Mega Engineering, MEIL. A Reliance-affiliated entity, Quick Supply Chain, also appeared. Analyses show the ruling BJP was the single biggest beneficiary over the scheme's life. Investigations by Indian media then mapped timelines between large donations and major public contracts, especially in infrastructure, raising concerns about quid pro quo incentives even when no law is broken. Example: reporting on MEIL highlighted bonds purchased near key project awards. Zooming out, The Economist's Crony Capitalism Index, which tracks how much billionaire wealth comes from sectors reliant on state concessions like mining, real estate, energy, placed India around 10th in 2023, with crony sector wealth rising as a share of GDP. Balance. Allegations must be treated carefully. Take Adani Group. After the 2023 Hindenburg Report, India's regulator SEBI investigated and, through orders in September 2025, dismissed key market manipulation claims. The Supreme Court earlier had left the probe to SEBI. Adani denies wrongdoing. In the U.S., the money power loop looks different. The Citizens United ruling, 2010, allowed unlimited independent spending by corporations and unions. Result, a flood of outside spending and dark money via super PACs and nonprofits. Meanwhile, wealth has concentrated at the very top. In 2024, just 19 households added about $1 trillion to their wealth. Names like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, pushing ultra-top shares to record territory. China's inequality is shaped by a state capital nexus. Many fortunes grew in state-influenced sectors. At the same time, party control can cap private power. The Ant Group and Alibaba crackdowns, record fines, forced restructuring, golden shares, signaled who ultimately sets the rules. It's not just vibes. The IMF and OECD find that high inequality tends to reduce the pace and durability of growth. Redistribution, if well designed, isn't the growth killer many fear. India is set to be the world's #3 economy. Whether that feels real to most Indians depends on narrowing the chasm between the top and everyone else. What helps? Transparent political finance, competitive procurement, clean land and mining auctions, strong antitrust, and a tax system that actually reaches top-end wealth without strangling growth. None of that is easy, but it's doable. Because the real contest isn't India versus the world. It's this India versus that India, and whether the ladder between them gets shorter, sturdier, and climbable. So here's where we land. A nation moving at 2 speeds, framed against a world that keeps checking its own mirrors. India's skyline and India's streetlight sharing the same night, while policy, credit, land, licenses, and law decide who sleeps on which side of the glass. We've seen how the numbers climb, top shares of income and wealth rising faster than median lives can catch. But numbers are only the scaffolding. The real story is how rules get written into concrete. In older economies, money flows through lobbies and super PACs. In Beijing, through the state's shadow over boardrooms. In Delhi, through campaign finance, procurement, spectrum, land conversion, and the quiet paperwork where growth is either multiplied or siphoned. That's why the same rupee buys different futures depending on the corridor it travels. One corridor lined with tenders, tax codes, and compliance that open like doors. Another lined with queues, forms, and fees that eat whole afternoons. And yet the future is not a morality play with villains and saints. It's a design problem we either solve or inherit. If the world tells us inequality is normal, our answer is not to accept the slope, but to change the grip. Clean up political money so voters know who pays. Demystify auctions so contracts feel earned. Enforce competition so market power must argue with merit. Tax what concentrates without taxing away invention. Protect workers so mobility is a staircase, not a lottery. Invest in schools, clinics, transit, water, and clean air so the baseline gets higher before the next shock hits. Because this India versus that India is not a headline. It's a hinge. On one side, an economy that grows and hardens into a brittle shell. On the other, an economy that compounds, where a small business can register in a day, credit arrives without a cousin's number, a degree translates into a job, and a cold winter or a hot summer doesn't erase a decade of effort. Look abroad and you'll see versions of this same hinge everywhere, but our choice is ours alone. Either let wealth and influence orbit each other until the circle becomes a wall, or redraw the orbit so capital chases competition, not connections. If we do the boring work brilliantly, transparent, repeatable, on time, the gap stops being a cliff and starts being a bridge. That's the story worth telling when the credits roll. Not envy, not doom, but engineering. Policy that turns growth into access, access into dignity, and dignity into resilience. That isn't about who we envy, it's about who we become. And if we get the design right, the richest line on our national balance sheet won't be the surnames at the top. It'll be the number of people who can step onto the first rung and know there's a second